Good evening and welcome everybody. Welcome back to Straight Talk, No Chaser with Dr. JJG. I am so excited about tonight's episode, an amazing opportunity to talk with some of the most talented, gifted, awesome individuals that I know on a personal level, but also because they are deep in the trenches of working with our children, our babies, our youth. They are some of the brightest educators that the DMV has to offer. And so we are excited about tonight's episode of Straight Talk, No Chaser with Dr. JJG, educating our children in the midst of COVID-19. Educating our children in the midst of COVID-19, a timely topic for us to talk about, especially as we're nearing the end of a school year that has been anything but normal in the latter half of this school year. And so we thought it was so important to have a conversation on this evening with some folks that are on the front lines as educators to inform parents, to inform the community, and to inform even our children, our youth that may happen to be listening in on tonight, what's been going on in order to try to be as transparent as possible, but then also to really let you know a lot of what they've been going through to try to provide you with a top-notch educational experience, even in the light of a global pandemic. And so we are really, really excited about tonight. Just want to share with you on the front end. I see our panel is already jumping on and they're here. They're excited. I'm getting ready to introduce them in just a few minutes, but I just want to share that they are doing the work in real time, One of our panelists who's getting ready to jump on in a second was in the midst of a school meeting. Another panelist getting ready to jump on was leading a PTA meeting. And so we are excited about the work that they're doing now, and we're grateful for them. I want to take this opportunity to welcome our first guest on this evening, a friend of mine from back in childhood, Dr. William Blake, who currently serves as the Director of Social Emotional Learning for the District of Columbia Public Schools. In this role, Dr. Blake ensures systems and structures are in place to support the development of the whole child. And so over the span of about 12 years in urban education, Dr. Blake has served as a classroom teacher, an assistant principal, and a principal. He believes that educators must strategically focus on closing the access gap for students furthest from opportunity, which is why he is dedicated to using social emotional learning in the district as a level to create students of color. And so we want to welcome Dr. Blake with us on this evening. I want to take this opportunity to welcome a good friend of mine going all the way back to middle school time frame, Mr. Alan Richardson. He's a Washington, D.C. native and a product of D.C. Public Schools, graduated from Spingarn Senior High School in 2002. He is most proud, and I'm right there with you, Alan, most proud of being a husband to his beautiful wife, Dr. Sharice Richardson, and a father to their three boys, Nicholas, Noah, and Nigel. He has been an educator for 14 years, serving as a teacher, an instructional specialist, program director, and is currently in his first year as the assistant principal of my elementary school alma mater, Randall Hollins Elementary School in Washington, D.C. He's completed his formal training at Lincoln University with a bachelor's degree in early and childhood and elementary education. He also holds a master's degree in globalized education from Teach Now. And so we want to welcome you, Alan, for being here on tonight. Want to welcome Mrs. Erica Stevens. On this evening. She serves as the Academy Director for Friendship Woodbridge International, a Tier 1 middle school in Washington, D.C., and beloved 5th Ward of the city. Woodbridge International recently has been named a leveler school, meaning that they level the playing field. I'm so excited to hear that terminology, that they level the playing field and they've made great strides in closing the achievement gap. You're going to hear that a lot on tonight, family. Closing the achievement gap for at-risk students in our nation's capital. She brings experience as an award-winning teacher with a focus in English language arts, and an affinity for social emotional. And I'm gonna get them to break that down for us a little bit later on in our conversation tonight. She attended University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and she attributes the HBCU experience with igniting her passion for service. She's a graduate of Towson University, where she received her bachelor's, and then a graduate of Trinity Washington University, where she received her master's of arts in teaching. She is is married to her best friend and partner in life, Reginald E. Stevens II, and they are the loving, not one, but two, Reginald III, affectionately known as Trey, and Little Miss Rain. And so we welcome Erica on tonight. I want to also take this opportunity to welcome Mrs. Gerald Thompson to the panel on this evening. Mrs. Thompson is a proud City Public Schools. She has 21 years of serving Baltimore City Public Schools. She currently serves as the lead teacher of James Mosier Elementary School, better known as 144, right in Baltimore City. That is our partner school, the church that I pastor in Baltimore, Memorial United Methodist Church. That's our partner school, and so we've got great relationship with Ms. Thompson over there at Mosier. She serves the Mosier community and families as the SFC and the FCE chair. She is a coordinator facilitator for the BTU, the Buddy program, a mentoring and supporting of teachers, and then she is also a member of the AFT BTU Mosier LIT. Ms. Thompson, I'm gonna get you to break down all of that for us when we come back in, so my listeners don't lose learning community and being a lifelong learner herself. She also happens to be a member of the First Mount Olive Free Will Baptist Church under the leadership of Bishop Oscar E. Brown. And so we are excited to have our panelists with us on this evening. Grateful for your time. I know you all have had busy schedules on tonight, and so we're grateful that you took the opportunity to join us this evening. As I shared with you earlier, we're going to be joined by our fifth panelist in just a little while, Mrs. Nina Lattimore, and once she jumps on, we definitely will give her her proper just due introduction. And so as we get started, I just want to take an opportunity again to say thank you to each of you for coming on with us on tonight. And this first question, I want to open it up to all of you. For whoever wants to jump in there first, feel free, and then we'll get around to giving folks an opportunity to respond. COVID-19, coronavirus, caught the entire world off guard. It caught us by surprise by how fast it swooped in and infected people, began claiming lives and shutting down any place where the spread could be massive and essentially upending life as we know it. And so the first question I want to ask each of you this evening is, do you feel that in our school systems, and I know you definitely can't speak on behalf of an entire school system, but in your opinion, based on what you were experiencing in the midst of trying to move kids out of that third marking period when all this started, do you feel as though the school systems were prepared to handle the emergence of this global pandemic? And in answering that, also I would ask, what have you learned from this crisis with respect to the level of readiness that's going to be required for the future in the realm of academia?
I can start off, and as you mentioned, you definitely can't speak for an entire district, and you can't speak for an entire system. But I will say this: I will say, without having enough knowledge to know that this was going to take place, and within DC Public Schools, what we ended up doing was we moved our spring break up to give us a little more time to kind of prepare for it going forward. and doing as best we could moving forward. I think DC Public Schools put structures in place to ensure that all of our students will receive as best supports as possible during this time. I think the best thing we did was we learned from it. We learned that you can't always be fully prepared, but what you can do is you can have those contingency plans in place to kind of support your students and support your staff. The biggest piece was, how do we ensure that our students who may be lacking or may be lagging behind in academics, how can you put things in place to make sure that they are receiving what they need when they're not in school? I don't think there's anything that can replace that face-to-face. You know what I mean? I think we put some things in place that can kind of help us moving forward. And unfortunately, it was a trial by error. Some things worked, some things didn't, but I think we did a great job. And I definitely like to commend all the teachers and administrators who actually put the things in place in their respective schools and respective buildings to ensure that in reality, no child was left behind or no family was left out. So I can't say that. We learned a lot going forward.
Definitely a learning experience, and it was on the ground learning, in the trenches learning, like pivoting on the spot. Erica, go ahead. You want to jump in there? Go ahead. Erica.
Oh, I'm sorry. You froze.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with Alan 100%. That one of the biggest things was making sure that all of our families was equipped with the resources to be successful academically during this time. I feel like, and I heard this on P. Diddy's when he had his emergency debrief of a situation, that racial disparities are illuminated with any natural disaster. So the disparities were illuminated with the coronavirus, with COVID-19, with us shutting everything down. And it really put districts to put the fire under districts. You really could tell what districts are made of based upon how well they have been preparing their students during this time. I would say that my organization and my school, we were 100% prepared. We have so many different programs and partnerships already that has equipped us with that. We have one-to-one technology, and my middle school, every 6th through 8th grader has an iPad that they've taken home through a partnership with Verizon with 30 gigs of internet. So it was really just for us making sure that we were doing what Nina is doing and having those town halls and those parent-teacher conferences with parents so that they can know how to work the systems that students are already equipped to doing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And even as I'm listening, I'm hearing, now we're going to get to some of the disparities in a minute when we talk a little bit later on, because so much of that came out to the forefront. But as I'm listening, I'm hearing things from what was going on. And I know you're not in a traditional public school setting, but I'm hearing so many things that I know my kids who are in public schools did not have on the front end. And so that definitely shares a lot. William, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, say that I don't think no one was prepared for this global crisis. But one of the things that we have learned, and I'm sure that you want to touch on it as you just shared, is that the inequalities across the district, it is so evident, and this has brought it to life. And we are doing the best that we can to close these gaps by providing like the essential needs that every student needs, such as clothing, food, and technology devices. But we are doing our best from the SEL, social emotional learning lens, to really help ease the stress for our students and families by providing webinars on how to manage and how to cope with stress and things of that nature. So I don't think any of us were prepared, but now we are in a position to mobilize, to really fill in the gaps, specifically those traumatic gaps that students and families are experiencing right now, to support them during this journey.
Awesome. Gerald, you want to jump in on that one?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Again, I bring you greetings from the greatest district in the world, and that's Baltimore City Public Schools. I have to give them a shout out where our students matter, we matter, our families matter. And just globally, what I want to do say is I'm godly proud of my district. I'm very, very proud of the way that we rolled it out, because we have always been the underdog, and everybody's eyes are always watching to see what BCPS is doing, SS is doing. But they saw something this time. We came through. We were ready. We were prepared. Unfortunately, we are always prepared for a disaster, because that's what the fishbowl they've kind of placed us in. So we were ready when this hit, and we were boots on the ground. Our students were prepared to be able to endure what the first couple of weeks would bring, because they come from that type of environment, where they have to just be always ready to just go, to be on a move. So what we did was, as district leaders and school-based leaders, we put systems in place early, so that when this occurred, unfortunately, we were already out for a professional development day on the 13th of March. So we utilized that day as a early engagement piece to get the boots on the ground, sound the horn, and let the parents know what will be transitioning in the days and weeks ahead to come, as we unfolded the news ourselves. So we prepared packets, we rallied and wrote some grants, and knocked on the doors for public officials to get some funds together. And we were able to supply our students with computers for their families, their homes, trying to work on bridging that gap between the internet systems to ensure that they are able to utilize the devices. We've been working diligently. We've had 85% of our students report to class since the coronavirus hit. That's just a blessing in itself right there. The number of 85%, the 15% we have not forgotten. Our leaders shared with us on Tuesday, boots knocking on doors, standing 6 feet apart. We're going to get that 15%, because no child, and I mean no child, will be left behind. Everyone in Baltimore City is important. Everyone, nobody's left behind. Everyone. We fed our people. We served over 300,000 meals. We've just been, you name it, Baltimore City can claim it. We have come up to the plate, and we've hit a home run, and I'm very proud of the district that I serve. Thank you.
That's awesome. So look, for the entire audience, on behalf of every parent, on behalf of every student, on behalf of everybody in the community, thank you for the work that you all have done. I know that you have all been a part of a team effort, but for your individual time, for your individual resources, for all that you have given of yourself, thank you. And so we know that this work is not easy by any stretch of the imagination, and we can see daily what is going on government levels, trying to deal with the problem and mitigate it along the way. But this is something that is so critical in the midst of everything that's going on, fighting the virus, and ensuring that our children do not miss one opportunity to learn. And so I want to say thank you for that. I want to dig in a little bit more. I think William, you talked about a little bit. I heard you hit on the word stress, and so I can imagine. I know it, pastoring, and I'm not even talking about the family stuff, but just trying to pastor in the midst of a pandemic has been crazy. Just so many things that you weren't prepared for in seminary at all. And I'm sure you all can say the same thing. So many things, no matter how many certifications you hold, no matter, how recently or long ago you received, your master's in teaching, it has not been anything like this ever before. And so for folks out there, especially for parents and families and community leaders and folks like that, that may be listening on this evening, I want you all to just take a moment and tell us what your average day has been like, and all of you serving the capacity of administrators, either administrators at a local school or an administrator in the school system. Tell us a little bit about your average day. I know all of you All of you have families, all of you have spouses and kids that you have to contend with. Tell us a little bit about your average day, what it's been like in the midst of this pandemic. What are some of the things that you, and then also your teachers, because you're supervising a staff and folks that report to you, your teachers and staff have had to do differently during this crisis that most people wouldn't even have had a clue about. It doesn't matter who jumps in first. Just share a little bit about your average day.
When you have individuals who are as committed as you are, when you have individuals on your team who make your job a little easier, then it reduces the stress. It definitely does. As you guys mentioned, or as you mentioned, Jason, when you did my intro, I do have 3 boys. My sons are 5th grade, 2nd grade, and 1st grade. And just making sure that their day starts off first. They're typically up before I am, and they start their day when their mom gets up to get ready to go to work. So they pick me up. But having those things in place, and those routines already set in place, it tends to alleviate a lot of the stresses that could take a toll on you during that time. But speaking from an administrative standpoint, when you have staff who just give 110% every time, and it's not going to always be easy, and there's so many things that you can't account for in their personal lives, but they still come to work every day doing this virtual or distance learning and give it their all. So I have the opportunity to kind of pop in and do my observations, or I can do a small group, or I can ask my questions in the group, or pose any supports or any on-demand feedback, on-the-spot feedback that I may have within their immediate group. It does bring a smile to my face to see that the attendance is up, as Ms. Thompson mentioned, which I appreciate. You see that the families are just as involved, because either one, they need support with the new math or the new curriculum, so they're right beside their student learning as well. So what you begin to do is, your hope is that your parents begin to have a new appreciation for their role in the education of their child. So you kind of get excited about that part, and then you think about your students who may have been behind or may require that additional time. And that's when our SPED teachers have the opportunity to do additional groups or separate groups or pull-out groups. So you get excited about the people you work with, because the people you work with make all of this, that much more exciting, because your students are there, and your families are there, and your parents are there every single day. So you're just excited about it. And I know in Baltimore, you already said it, you guys can claim it, but we're working just as hard, so we can claim it as well. So we thank you for that, and thank you for the encouragement as well.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of what you said talked about really being strategic. You talked about really trying to build a schedule. I know we all can talk about how busy our schedules are on the calendar, but doing so in a way that you don't lose yourself is so important, because you are not only caring for an entire school of children and staff, but you also have to do on the home front. Before we hear from our other panelists, I want to take time and welcome to the panel. She was in the trenches on the front line, leading a parent-teacher school meeting on this evening. I want to welcome to our panel, Miss Nina Lattimore.
Hi, guys.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, because I'm happy to be here. I'm sorry, I was PTSA Zooming and trying to come up with some virtual field trips and virtual field day for the kids. School system may stay. Our kids are tired, and we got some mental health things we're working on. And so I took that into mind, and we have cut camp for kids. It's where our kids will be teaching kids something they want them to learn, like how to build a fort, like roadblocks. And the teacher will have the Zoom class. So we're working on those things, because they're just, if you're a social learner, this is not for you.
Wow. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Just by way of formal introduction, clearly you can tell Nina is an energized, deeply committed to making a positive difference in the lives of children and families and teachers. She currently serves as the principal of Capitol Heights Elementary School in Capitol Heights, Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland. She is a graduate of the University of Maryland, where she obtained and majored in Spanish and mass communication. She graduated from Towson University. Forgive me, Towson University. She earned her master's degree in Spanish from Howard University, and a master's degree in English as a second language from American University. She is currently doing some doctoral work around, let me make sure I get this correct, doing doctoral work around school leadership and policy.
For our males, for our young Black males.
That's it. That's important work. I see I got my panel excited. So her educational career has taken her from a classroom to administration in DC public schools and Arundel County public schools. And now she's currently serving, as I said earlier, in Prince George's County public schools. Her educational experiences have afforded her opportunity to travel with Maryland State Department of Education to discuss the strides around Common Core that have been made. And I know folks that are out there listening, I know you have heard that terminology a lot over the course of the past, probably 5 to 10 years, very strong, with Common Core. Ms. Lattimore believes that building a positive school culture, fostering relationships with students and their families, and understanding what and how our students learn are critical components. I'm gonna say it again, critical components to a school's success. And then she leads her staff to put a great emphasis on integrating the arts across the contents. And so I'm grateful that you were able to join us, fit us into your schedule. Thank you for the work. Where we are in our conversation, we were just asking folks to talk to us a little bit about their average day, because this is busy time, this is stressful time. Folks have family and other things to tend to, and so that's where we were. And so I'm gonna let you think on that. Whoever wants to jump in, go ahead and jump in and share.
I can go. I mean, seriously, I had to create a schedule for myself, because the first 2 weeks you're like, oh, it's cool, we got a little happy hour, life's great, woo-woo. And then you're like, no, this is serious. So I need to, my schedule is, just like 8 o'clock, wake up, 8 to 9, devotional time, 9, do a little exercise, 10 till 1, I'm zooming in and out. I'm zooming, in the school building, you go from class to class, walking around, seeing kids, right? And I'm zooming in and out. And this week I started my Zoom lunch bunches. Lunch bunch for pre-K and kindergarten. Yeah, you hear all that. But the lunch bunches have been great because we're just real. There's no academic talk. We're just talking about life. Today I had 4th grade, and they just talk about what's going on in their world, and we all eat our lunch together. And, so that's been kind of cool. But it really goes to about, people stop at their time at 1. Do not communicate past 1, because we have lives and we have our own wellness to do with. So, yeah.
Scheduling is so important, so important. There's a lot going on, but it seems like in the midst of this, I heard you share, there's some fun time going on that, even though we're not physically in the same place, we're still able to do some of the things that help to make learning be exciting for our children, and it sounds like also to motivate our teachers and our staff as well. So that's definitely important, let me see.
I heard a couple of things, Jason. I'm sorry. I heard her talk about that fun aspect. I heard about the social emotional learning. And the reality is our students miss each other, man. Yes, our teachers needed breaks, and yes, our kids need breaks from school, and yes, they're tired, but they miss each other. Now, I'm surprised at how much extra time we need in the Zoom class just for the kids to say hello to each other. Request to say, hey, can we log back in a couple hours once we finish, so I can talk to my friends? They don't want to hear the teachers talk. They want to talk to their friends. They want to see each other. And you'd be surprised, and most of you will not be surprised, but a lot of people who are not in the education field, they'd be surprised to know how much peer education is just as important as a teacher teaching the classroom. You learn so much from your environment. You learn so much from your classmates. When you have a classmate who's doing extremely well and you partner yourself with that classmate, you can guarantee that kid's going to learn far more from that classmate, that peer,
than that teacher.
And they miss each other. And the reality is I find myself going through different classrooms, and I'll interrupt and say, hey, so-and-so, how are you? I miss you. Or just in the middle of class, he's looking at me like, Mr. Richardson, really? That's what you're going to do in my Zoom class?
Yeah, I know. I do the same thing too.
And I miss them just the same. You know what I mean? So it's great when you have that that fun time. You know, because in a classroom, it's not going to always be classwork. You want to allow that time for them to kind of talk to each other and enjoy each other in that moment that they may not have gotten, or they may not get for another couple months.
Yeah.
That's important. Ms. Thompson, Erica, y'all jump in. Tell us about your average day, what it looks like.
So I would agree with Nina, like I'm zooming and booming. Like I'm going into different classrooms. Like Mr. Richardson mentioned earlier, like one of the things that makes this so easy for us is that we have such a dynamic team of educators who are hitting the front lines in their classrooms, but then also the other administrators, and my instructional leadership team, my student support services team, my food court team, like everybody is just going above and beyond in their job. So it gives me that opportunity to boom and boom. So I'm going into classrooms, I'm teaching, because how can I evaluate and how can I observe and give feedback if I haven't experienced teaching a lesson? So I've taught 5th grade science and I've taught 5th grade social studies. I've created my own Zoom lessons, and I am a reflective practitioner. I am a leader of service. I am side by side with my teachers in that regard. Having lunch bunches, because like Miss Lattimore said, like they miss each other and they miss us. The amount of DMs I got on our school Instagram has been ridiculous. Like, Mrs. Stevens, I just want to see you. Can you call me? Can you talk to me? So that's what really sparked me in doing our lunch bunches, because they want to see our faces and they don't want it to be in that formal setting. What else have I been doing? So I've been doing that. I've also been zooming and booming and policy meetings for my district. So like, what are the answers to these big questions? Previously, it was, what is Q4 going to look like? What are grades going to look like? Now it's, what's summer school going to look like? What's school going to look like when we come back? So we are definitely, that's what I'm doing. And then also, you know, I have a 4-year-old who's also in school and has his own Google Classroom and teacher meetings and things of that nature. So a schedule is something that I definitely implemented to make sure that I stay on top of things as a parent as much as I could, as a wife, as a administrator, as a human being.
Yeah, we even had like principal. We did a principal university of wellness. We're just talking. I mean, it's good tonight to talk to people that are not in my district, but I led a session about staff things you can do to boost your morale during this COVID time. So I talked about, we do staff scavenger hunts where they're like running around trying to find a ball or something blue. That's been so fun. We did a staff come dressed as your last Netflix show you watch. So we had a lot of Tiger Kings come out. So all these like different fun ways to get people. I did a game called What Do You Mean? Showed a picture and they had to give a distant learning tip about that. So just ways to kind of keep people motivated, because it's different.
Yeah, I would even go further and say that, like Dr. Blake mentioned earlier about social emotional learning, that's one thing that has been like illuminated through all of this. Like we need to pay attention to the whole entire child. It's bigger than and this is something that you know, unfortunately had to happen for everybody to see it, but mental health matters.
Definitely. Ms. Thompson, what's going on in Baltimore? How you handling this?
We are yet holding on, yet keeping on, being Baltimore strong, Maryland strong, as our governor calls us. Just doing what we can here to do what we can do. Baltimore always goes through adversities, and we do our best to just yet hold on. Our day is filled with laptop on the hip, on the side. It's another organ for me. I must say I have not learned my lesson yet. I have still not disengaged from Mosier. I was stuck to Mosier before COVID, stuck to Mosier in COVID, and I'm hoping not to be stuck with Mosier outside of COVID. But I do need to work on my balance, my work-life balance. I am a wife, I'm a mother, and a care provider. And my husband is essential, so I call our house 24/7 now because my home never rests. I'm not excited about my gas and electric bill because I'm up all day working and night working. Then he's around, you know, my daughter is in school and they're working in uniforms in front of the computer to make sure that they're in school mode. So it's a lot, it's a lot. As the song goes, y'all know the song, a lot. Just want to make sure that, we're doing it and doing it and doing it well. I am a co-teacher. I find myself, a principal and I, we find ourselves in the classrooms on a daily basis as a moderator, co-teacher. My focus as the school family council chair is to make sure that we're touching bases with our families. So I pop in every now and then like, hey, y'all, what you doing? How you doing, Mom? How you doing, Dad? And they're always telling us, please tell your teachers the next time they ask for $5, we're going to give them $500 because we didn't know how much it took to hold our little beloved all day. So we're just working, trying to balance everything out, trying to keep the woes down. I'm trying to get the staff encouraged, like Principal Lattimore stated. I'm getting ready to go into my Final Four with our people. So I told them, I said, we coming down to the Final Four, y'all. Let's get this thing going. Let's see who's going to win this game. So just keeping it real and at 100 with them to let them know that we're getting ready to get into that disparity phase. So far, we've been good and the weather's been good. So it's nothing challenging us really. But that sunshine is coming out, y'all. Y'all know how that happened in May. That weather changes, that attendance changes, that demeanor changes. So so what can we do as a collaborative body to keep these children engaged and wanting to come back? And as a staff developer, what can I do to help the staff? As you were talking, Principal Lattimore, I did our own Mosier Field Day challenge with them. I did something as simple as a coin toss. I said, drop it on heads, you run 20 times, we're going to do the 100-meter dash, baby. Then if it's on tails, you can stand there, you can rest yourself. So it was just a way to get us up and moving, getting us out. I told him, I said, let's do a clothes change challenge because we're rocking these T-shirts, doing what we got to do to make our students and families feel good. But I know you miss being in your St. John and in all your stuff, your garb that you do. So go change into your finest and come back. Let's see if you can do it in a minute. Played a little bit.
I love this.
I love that idea.
It's creative on the spot.
I love this idea. So if I get your email, I would love to share you.
Sure, most definitely. Pastor has my information, and Kirk Franklin and I, we grew up together under the watchful eye of James Cleveland. Wow. So I shared a song that he wrote, and today's a new day. Let's smile. I just want to see you smile. Mm-hmm. So I played that for them. I toured the line. I said, this is nothing. Don't listen to what you want to think it should be. Just listen to what it really is. Today's a new day, and there is no sunshine. But what are you going to do? Are you going to go dark, or are you going to just smile? When you smile, you feel better. When you smile, you think better. When you smile, you work better. When you smile, you do better. So just trying to impart that piece into them to let them know that it's important to just smile. As a co-writer of the prisoners school to prison pipeline, it's just important and it's vital that we instill in the people who are standing in front of our children that if what you think and what you say will determine what they do tomorrow. We're taking care of them today, but what is their tomorrow going to be like? So we are charged to make sure that when we stand at that desk and we stand in front of them and we present that to them, we present our best. No matter how battered, how tired, how bruised we are, we have to stand there and provide our best for our staff, our students, our parents, and the community at large. So that's my day. Wow. But I'm going to learn that work-life balance.
But this is so amazing. Anybody that's out there, and I know that, we got some teachers that are listening in. We've got some other administrators that are listening in. We've got some community, partners that are listening in. This is so much wisdom and wealth being shared here in a practical sense of just, number one, I'm hearing, to keep people excited and energized in the midst of all this going on. We're not in a normal place, but to keep people motivated to keep pushing to the finish line, but also to keep folks' mental sanity amidst all of this, because schedules and zooming and booming, all this other stuff, you can really just lose it in the midst of this. And so it's so important, and I know that this is blessing folks. Facebook is blowing up. We're getting questions in the chat. Definitely ask your questions. We are going to get to respond to those questions. I want to get Dr. Blake in on this as well because he's not technically in the classroom, I don't think. So Dr. Blake, you're still with us. Share with us a little bit about what the classroom day, well, not the classroom, but what it looks like from a school system standpoint. Dr. Blake? He might have pulled. You go ahead, Dr. Blake.
The trauma.
I'm sorry, I'm back. I'm here.
I was saying, share with us a little bit about the day from a system standpoint.
Okay, in terms of
I am in PDs all day, every day, and I'm providing trainings to our teachers as well. So I am different from the being in the schools where I'm providing PD opportunities for our teachers on how to manage with stress and things of that nature.
Awesome. And so, that is important because our teachers need that encouragement. They need to be mentored, to be coached along the way. And so that's so critical and so important to what's going on. I'm going to get to some of the questions in the chat in a minute. I want to shift us just a little bit. And I heard some of the being alluded to earlier. A recent USA Today article quotes Dr. Michael Osterholm, who's the director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research at the University of Minnesota, as saying, and I quote, I'm just quoting him, "This damn virus is going to keep going until it infects everybody it possibly can. Even if new cases begin to fade this summer, it might be an indicator that the new coronavirus is following a season pattern similar to the flu." With that being considered, the question I would have for you is, excuse me, what impact will this have on the upcoming school year? I know you've been in meetings. I know y'all have been beginning to pal around and have these conversations here from the school systems. What impact will this have on the upcoming school year? In light of the fact that students have already missed a considerable amount of the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, is nearing its end, and considering the fact that we're not sure how summer schools are going to look, we always have to be concerned about that summer slump, if you will, and then there's this, this school year that's coming, and we aren't too certain. We're hearing more and more information right now coming about the impact of this disease, this virus is having on children. At one point, we heard all these different things. Well, it's affecting children or it's not affecting children. Now they're saying that it's having some impacts on children. So what are you thinking that this impact, or what are you hearing the impact is going to be on the school year that is to come? And then what practices are being put in place to ensure that students don't fall any further behind where they should technically be right now anyway?
Well, I can say something really quick. There's two things I want to say about this. For some reason, I'm not sure about your schools, Ms. Stevens, Richardson, or Thompson, but this past school year, we had so many kids that were sick. And I kind of feel like, why do we have so many kids that keep coming? I'm not just talking about, like it's rampant, like it was just rampant going on. And I even got sick myself in February, and it was out for like 5 days with like a high level case of the flu, right? Like we couldn't understand, we wiped stuff down. I mean, everybody was just sick. So we were trying to just, when this whole case came up, it was like, oh, well, here's the reason something was going down, this whole time. But we just didn't know what it was to get a grasp of it. So the second part I want to talk about, you said, what do we do next, right? What are we going to do now if this is supposed to come? We heard about Kawasaki disease and so forth.
Right.
This is what I'm working. This is what I want, and I'm going to say this in this platform where this is what I need parents to know. And maybe I need our parents to know what the standard their child should know by grade level. If I'm in second grade, I need you to know that I'm going to learn how to count money in that grade only. I'm not getting counting money in third. I'm not getting it in fourth. I'm getting it in second grade only. The reason why I want the parents to know these standards is because we need your help in case we're not in this day to day, right? So there should be, from the state or whoever, just a chart. Kindergarten, count to 100.
Thank you on behalf of the parents. Thank you. We had this conversation earlier today. I'm going to let you finish. I was talking to a former DC Public Schools Montessori teacher, my aunt. We were talking earlier today. She was asking how things are going with the kids. And I was saying they're doing the work and we're checking the work. But my biggest concern is I don't have the curriculum. I don't have the lesson plan that you all are working through. So I'm guessing they're getting everything they're supposed to be getting, but I'm not 100% certain.
But if you knew the standard,
Yes,
where they
it
were,
was able to help.
just Google it in, right? So that's the piece about it. If we're going to build this pathway of distance learning for some time being, I just want our parents to know the standard. Because go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, I feel like as leaders and as schools, it's our responsibility to equip our parents with that.
Absolutely, I agree.
One of the things that's been so monumental in me with my son at home is that I have a weekly meeting with his teacher every week. And for 15 minutes, she just talks to me about how are things at home. Like, how am I implementing the things that he is to be learning at home, and giving me resources and strategies. And then the next 15 minutes, she's showing me how to do it by doing it herself with him. So if we, I know in the chat, I see questions like, so what are you doing to prepare parents? And that's something that, you know, we're thinking about, at least at my school, is how can we support our parents better, our parents and our grandparents, our uncles, our aunties, our big cousins, whoever is in the house with the student, because it's not always, you know, mom in front of the computer. Everybody's family and everybody's household looks different, but making sure that we're equipping whoever is there with the resources and the knowledge to be able to help them meet those grade level marks that you were speaking about.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, those standards and teaching them how to understand those standards and what it means per grade level. The sad part about that question in the chat, we talked about, what do we do for those kids who are already behind? And we, you know, in most districts, you cannot retain any students this year. So those students that you thought about retaining, you can't, right? Because of COVID, right? So unless, you know, the parents appeal that decision, but we can't. And so my school has to be a talented and gifted school. So you got a portion of the kids who are talented and gifted, but then I may have maybe a third that could use some extra supports, right? They're not significantly there. But I worry about those kids, because that's, you know, sometime that they're going to come back in, and I want to build social things before I build on academic. I got to bond back in a social way first. Yeah.
And so that raises the whole question. A long time ago, there used to be this whole scary thought about this thing that existed. I know we probably don't want to admit to it in some settings, but there was this social promotion thing that we would just kind of send them along to the next grade, you know, with their peers. And so now the concern isn't even social promotion, wondering if our kids are ready. Some kids were not ready, clearly, as 2020 started, from what was going on last semester. And now they're in, and they only had a fourth of this semester, and then they're out. And so the question is, the concerns about whether or not, you know, little Mikey or, you know, or little Karen is going to be able to be successful in the next grade is extremely heightened, because you cannot retain, even if there is a real basis or need to, so that they don't get lost in the shuffle moving forward.
And if I could add to that, Doc, like, we already know that there's going to be a lot of academic gaps when students come back to school next school year. And one thing that we are trying to design as a district is a universal screening process, right? So we want to create a universal screening process where we can identify what are the academic gaps, what are the social emotional learning gaps, and what are the school mental health gaps that students have experienced during this closure. And a lot of the work is going to fall on us educators, because there's going to be a lot of reteaching that's going to take place during the first half of the school year. But if we are able to put a system in place to identify what are those academic gaps that students were exposed to during these past 7 months, we are able to adjust our practices and our curriculums to fill the needs of those students. But it's going to be hard work. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be something that we are going to grapple and struggle with as educators. But at the end of the day, we have to provide that service to our students, because this wasn't something that no one could ever predict would have happened in our lifetime, and we were caught off guard by it. And now we're going to have to shift our mindsets of how we're going to do this reteaching during our first half of the school year to get our students back on grade level.
Wow. And I think, I mean, this is, hearing that gives some level of reassurance that at least there are going to be new metrics that are put in place to really assess where people are, and it'll be done across the board. I think so oftentimes, you know, we hear testing or whatever will be done, whether it be, you know, something standardized, you know, across the board. Kids get afraid. I think it's good to be able to share that on the front end with parents now so that they're able to let their young people know, hey, we want to ensure that you got everything you were supposed to get out of the 2019-2020 school year. So this is what's going to be done on the front end, not to penalize you, but to see if we need to redirect you in a certain content area so that you can pick that up. You may have done great with mathematics, but you may have fallen down with respect to your written and oral communication skills. So maybe I'm hoping what I'm hearing from you, Dr. Blake, is that once those assessments happen, that there'll begin to be a new way of adjusting the curriculum to be some supplemental work that's able to take place for our kids, whether it'll be you know, on the front end or whether it'll be on the back end, you know, at home. But that's good to hear. That's definitely good to hear.
Hey,
Okay,
Dr. Griffin, the reality is, prior to this happening, we had no idea, right? We didn't expect it. We didn't know it was going to happen. We didn't think we had to put this particular plan in place. The best part about going forward is that now we have information. So it's almost like when you have your first child, you kind of like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then when you have your second child, things get a little easier. And then you have your third child, things get a little easier. Maybe I'm just talking about myself, but that's how things kind of work for me. For me, it was like my first one was like, wash your hands, don't touch them, don't touch this. By the time my third one, I was like, hey, look, hold yourself, you know. So that's kind of like the advantage that we have now. Do we expect it to get worse? We hope it don't. But guess what? If it does, these are the things we have in place. You know what I mean? That first year was rough. We missed out on a lot of schooling. But what we do know is, based on the data that we have in our schools, and maybe I'm just speaking for Randall Highlands, but I have a phenomenal staff there. They are amazing. They kick tail every single day. And I'm sure you guys see that at your schools as well. But what I'm talking about is, we know where our students are. We know where they left. We know the commitment they've put into their distance learning. So we know exactly where we need to start off. Now, the advantage is that, let's say, for instance, for me, I taught, when I was last in the classroom, I taught first grade. So for me, when my students come back into the school year, at the end of the school year, I always spent the last 6 weeks of school not teaching first grade standards. I always taught the last 6 weeks teaching second grade standards. There was no point in me teaching first grade standards because first grade was over. So guess what? So now when they go into second grade, it's not foreign to them. They've already seen that first or second standard that went with second grade work. So they may not have mastered it in first grade, but they've seen it. They've seen it. So right now with DC, we're out of school on May 29th. That's our last day of school. So we're talking about a couple weeks left of school, right? So we have to, in the back of our minds, we're like, okay, how can I have taken this last month of school and kind of integrate some of that next level readiness or that next level stuff into that curriculum? Ms. Stevens, you mentioned, and Ms. Lattimore, you both mentioned the importance of having our parents understand the standards. If they don't understand the standards, then as you mentioned, it's our responsibility to ensure they have an understanding of what needs to take place going forward. So at the end of the school year, our final report needs to say what? It needs to say that this is where your child was at the end of the school year when we last did our assessment. These are the assignments that we did. These are the areas that we covered. This is the expectation moving forward. So just in case summer school is virtual, you know, because I know in DC we're talking about having a virtual summer school. So if summer school is virtual, so now I can come in. Now, Ms. Stevens, you may not know my fifth grader at all. But if I can come into you and say, Ms. Stevens, here's the documentation that shows this is where my son was at the end of fifth grade, and these are the things that he did. Now you can have an opportunity to say, okay, so now I know where I can support your son because he was deficient in this area. He showed strength in this area. Wow. You know, now that we have information, I feel like we're better equipped to move forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something. I think Dr. Blake always chimes onto it. I know the academics are so huge for us, but this social piece is by outweighing. I don't know about any of you in your school buildings, but we've had kids who have contemplating like hurting themselves. And it's because of the relationship that they have with our school that they are confident to share how they're feeling with their teachers. So while academically, I know that they're going to, that we have that, but I got to reconnect all these emotions and things that have happened in these, from March 13th, we thought, okay, see ya, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. And now we're in May 14th. So we're going to work on these emotions and bringing that life back to them and those bonds back to them. Because once we get that, then we're going to have academics. But that child who was contemplating, he wasn't eating, he wanted to harm himself, his classmate emailed the teacher and said, hey, I need you to reach out to so-and-so because he told me this. And we get together, we join in to connect. So
that's critical. That is so critical. And I think even without COVID-19, a lot of that we did not have. So this new emergence of being connected through the social platforms of Zoom and Google Classroom, and it has opened us up to be able to be attentive to what's going on with our children literally in their homes. A lot of times we were kind of sort of guessing. We may have known, but now we're there in the home. We're hearing some things, and their peers are able to be connected with them a little bit more regularly, even though they're not physically seeing them, but they're talking around the clock. They're talking if they're not on the classroom applications, they're on the other social media stuff. And I know a lot of times we blow it off like we don't want our kids on it that much, but you learn things on TikTok. You learn things on Snap. You learn things on Facebook with those that have kids that are on those in those age groups. And that helps us to be a better support system for them. So this is so important. Ms. Thompson, I saw you were trying to jump in there earlier. Go ahead.
It's like double dutch here. This is good stuff. But I just want to chime in and just say that SEL portion is so monumental. And that's an ongoing piece. It's not just now, but as you stated, it's an ongoing thing for us. And we got into this profession to be boots on the grounds right then and there kind of support. So for us, our hearts are hurting now because we are not at that level where we can extend that support. That hands-on piece is so important. And that seeing that child every day doing that threshold activity, none of those 218 babies go through our doors without us touching them. Hey, how you doing? Let's get on the bus. It's snack day on Thursday. Even if they're not getting their snack, they understand the rationale why they're not getting their snack. Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate you because you keeps it going with that Thursday snack bag. Oh, bless your heart and all your parts. But we're just so grateful for that because these babies, they look to us for so much. And I think some of us in the realm of education took it lightly at first, but now that we've had an opportunity to see how much they really truly need us and that they really want to see us, even that behavioral one that comes in with that chip on his or her shoulder, like, I don't need you, I'm good, I'm gonna run the world, and this, that, and the third. There's still little people and they're crying out for help because they're dealing with big people issues. And it's so vital that we keep outpouring what has been deposited into us from the various people in our lives, various places, our places of worship, whatever centers your life. We need to bring that to the forefront of our profession. And the thing that we did at our school was we always take a temperature check on our babies. Now, I don't mean to say it in the corona way, now you can't say spread, you can't say temperature, people be like, what you got? So nevertheless, I just say we always took a temperature check. And I don't want to give corona any credit, but corona robbed a lot of us because I know without a shadow of a doubt in my core that our students we were going to make that data move this year. Our teachers were teaching aggressively like they had corona 29. Okay. Now, if this is 19, 29 got to be something. So we were teaching so diligently to the core and with so much rigor that the data, we just saw the data moving, and it was just ironic that it just hit at this time. But the one thing that I have seen is that I know that's true because as I've just been doing my own data analysis while I'm watching the teachers teach their foundations, go over the wit and wisdom curricula, core content pieces with them, the Eureka Math, Sabes, the students are latching on and they're still yet holding on. There's not that much of a lag as I would anticipate, but I can see them using those skills and strategies that we taught them to put in their toolbox at 144. So you see them using that, and my prayer and hope is that they are able to take that and share it with their families. Getting back to what you said, Principal Lattimore, what we can do on our own, in case Common Core is not doing that, let's create our own bookmark of standards. As a teacher, when I taught many, 1492, but when I taught, I made sure that every child had a bookmark of what he or she needed to do in literacy, in math, science, social studies, health, okay? Because I didn't want them to ever think that, oh, Ms. Thompson, she's always going to have the answer. She's always going to be there. I taught them to think for themselves. And the key factor is for us to continue to do that for our children, is to help them to continue to think for themselves and their families, because you are correct in saying that the families are like, this is the new math. I don't know how to do this. I'm frustrated. But we have to put frustration on the back burner and put these children's lives on the front burner, because we are creating the next scientists, the next doctors, that we know we want them to be a president and all that NBA player football. But at the end of the day, we need somebody that's going to challenge COVID in the future. And this is what we're creating.
So right there with that, I want to go with that just a little bit. That's shifting gears. And y'all hang tight. If you got to jump off, I understand you all have given of your time all day long and sharing this, but this is so rich a discussion. The Facebook Live is blowing up and the chat is blowing up. Thank you. You already are answering. Thank you for my panelists that are answering and responding to some of these questions. One of the questions that was just being asked, and Ms. Thompson, you were talking on the tail end of it. It was something I was going to ask anyway. I see some of our panelists are reaching out to ask it. Some parents and grandparents or guardians are not as equipped as they would like to be to help their children with the work that is being assigned while distance learning is taking place, being utilized. What are some educational resources that they can use to support the efforts of being done by our teachers to ensure that our kids are ultimately successful? And then what are some tools or some techniques? I know y'all got some in your arsenal. Y'all have been in this decades, a decade, multiple decades doing the work on the front line. What are some tools or techniques that can be applied with respect to being better assistant teachers, I'm calling us, at home, to those that are on the front lines, to you all, in cases that for some of us, the lead teacher may not necessarily be able to give 100%. We just gotta be real. I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're doing their best with some of our teachers. Honestly, this has been a learning curve for some of them. And so some more of this is falling on parents. And, and I'm scratching my head and we're like, okay, wait a minute. I think I might have been in a chat platform. Ms. Lattimore, I don't know if it was you that responded to me or somebody else. And I was saying, okay, we on here. They got one kid got Google Classroom. One kid got Yahoo Classroom. One kid got, TikTok Classroom. And I don't know what's going on, trying to understand these different platforms. This platform do this, and I'm scratching my head. I don't have no hair on my head. Thank God I ain't have to worry about the corona, get my hair cut, because I'm pulling my hair out, trying to figure this thing out. My wife's pulling hers out. We're trying to say, wait a minute. So give us some basics, the mamas, the grandmamas, the big mamas.
Okay.
What do we do?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I? Oh, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say one thing to you, Pastor. Be mindful and know that our kids are resilient. Mm-hmm. So the one thing, they are built tough. They are strong. But the one thing I'm going to admonish the mommies, the daddies, the GGs, the grandparents, the papas, the everybody, is to, one, be a voice in the back. Sit for a session or two with that classroom to learn that routine first. Because what we had to do was we had to challenge our parents. So we did a little parent challenge. Let the children show you what they are doing and what they need before you come in saying what you want them to do. Yeah. So while that teacher is doing that apple ad with them, don't tell them that that word says apple. Let them get that skill set, that strategy to start that work. The platforms getting on, that's another issue right there, and we'll touch bases with that. But I'm talking about that teaching tool that that teacher is trying to instill in them. Helping them, giving them the answers is not helping them. You know the story. You give a man a fish, but if you teach a man to fish, that's something different right there. And I don't have time to get off on that soapbox. But what we want to do is we want to invite parents, as we did in our community, to come in as not as a guest, but as a participant, to sit side by side with your scholar, to see what he or she is going through. Then after you guys have had that session, then you guys go back and you have a debriefing session with your child to see where do you need mommy and daddy to come in on in here. Because what we don't want to do, we don't want parents to feel like, I don't know it, so I know you don't know it. You know, we have to get out of that stigmatism. I wasn't good at math. You're never going to be good at math. These babies are very resilient and they're very strong, and their mindsets are there. It's endless to how much they can absorb and attain and gain. We do have some platforms for you guys that we will share in the chat and with you, Pastor. You can share them with your followers so that we can help you better understand the way to use this platform today, tomorrow, and in the days and weeks ahead to come, because this is not over yet. But we have to get together and do this in a holistic way so that you're not pulling out the hair that you had. Right. Go ahead.
Well,
So go ahead, the
I think what happened was, Eric and I were talking about this in that chat you had, is that most schools, I won't say all districts, most schools and leadership were not used to these platforms, okay? And I also, in our school, in Eric's school, I'm not sure about the other two schools, that our kids do not operate in a black and white world. So we have to equip our kids with the tools of how they learn currently. When your kids go home, they're on TikTok, they've got YouTube, they have a YouTube channel. So our teachers were already on Google Classroom. They were doing Flipgrids. They got PearPod. I mean, these are all apps that we use to teach day by day. So when it came up for this, it was like, all right, bet. We're just going to be home, make some chart paper, and we're going to make it happen. They have breakout groups. I'm like, you got reading groups going on in Zoom? I mean, it's like you have to teach as leaders. We have to teach our teachers the tools, or they teach us, and then it helps to build our students. So right now, we're blessed because apps like Newsella are free. Newsella is an amazing program in which whatever reading level your child is on, it will move to that reading level. And these are like actual articles like that are happening in today's world. So COVID articles about that man, stuff like that. So we can list them. It's just great ideas that Newsella, there's TPT, Khan Academy we have listed here, Myon, I have that. So yes, we can share those out.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Stevens, you being a great student. Forgive me. I saw you raising your hands, and then Mr. Richardson, I see you coming on. So Ms. Stevens and Mr. Richardson, go ahead.
I raised my hand, even
I saw you. I'm sorry.
So something that I would say is that, Corona definitely sideswiped everybody, but I think that there's a silver lining in it. It gives us more time to spend with our families. And there are so many foundational skills that you can build with your kids that can help them in the classroom that you wouldn't even think mattered, but they really do. Like going for a walk with your children and talking to them, having them tell you about what is difficult, and being open. Like, I feel like as adults, especially like in the hustle and bustle, the go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to bed, we're real quick. But in this time, it gives us an opportunity to slow down and to really help our children work through the struggle progressively. Like, be progressive in the struggle together, and then reach out to the teacher for some resources. Additionally, reading. Now, I saw in the chat that someone said, how can I help my student become a better reader or improve reading levels? Just read a book. And Miss Lattimore, mentioned Newsella, which is definitely a good resource. But finding a good book to just read, even if you're reading to your child a chapter a night, and then you guys talk about it before they go to bed. Studies show that reading 20 minutes a day significantly improves reading levels. So I cannot stress that enough. Like, we need to put books in hands, and if we can't get to the library because Corona, you can definitely take advantage of reading online. there is an app called the Epic app, and it is definitely going for free right now as well. And it is an online library of tons and tons and tons of books that go all the way up to age 13. So that is an opportunity for you. Amazon is also giving out some books for free right now. So go ahead and open up that world of reading. And I know your scholars might be at home saying, I don't want to read, I hate it. Let them get into some, my middle school, I'm a middle schooler, right? Let them get into some of those topics that might raise your hair or ends, parents, but just know that they're reading and they're thinking. And that's what we want them to do.
That's it. Mr. Richardson, come on now.
So real quick, just two quick points. The first point I'll make is I would encourage parents to take advantage of their teachers' office hours. And it doesn't always have to be when your kids need something or when your students are struggling with a lesson. When you have a question, take advantage of that office time. And it could be just a one-on-one with you and that teacher, just to help familiarize yourself with the content so that when your child, when they do have a little question, now you're kind of empowered to support them in that moment. So definitely take advantage of those office hours. Mm-hmm. Right. And the second thing I would say is, and I shared this before, I actually shared this with my wife. I said, during this time, not only has this virus or corona, we've had a lot of loss during this time, but we've gained so much also during this time. I feel like this has saved a lot of lives as well, because those overworked individuals who needed a break, where the mental stress was just so overwhelming, that, stress is the #1 killer. So for me to have a month off or 2 months off, the unfortunate part is everyone's not getting paid during this time, but a peace of mind is very, very important. It's very, very important during this time. So now you have that break where you can kind of reset, regroup, relax, and get ready to go back full swing. Because a lot of people were probably in burnout mode during certain time. So it saves lives. I know for me and my boys, we've had the opportunity to do some things that we hadn't had a chance to do prior to this. I'm teaching them games that we played when I was a kid. We went out to the park and we had a chance to fly some kites. We used sidewalk chalk and played hopscotch. We're putting together puzzles in the middle of the living room from the dollar store. It wasn't expensive. My boys, they love to draw. So we're playing Pictionary and we're playing things like that. We're playing guessing games. We made our own memory match cards with sight words that we need to find, or new vocabulary words that my boys are learning. So we're matching words with definitions and we're using them in a sentence. Whatever word you find, you have to tell me what the definition is and then you use it in a sentence. Or whatever definition you find, you tell me what the word is and then you tell me how to spell it. So we're having fun in ways and we're being more creative during those times as well. So it's brought a lot of families closer together, so you look at the silver lining in this thing, because, everybody's talking about the hardship that's taking place during this time. But I, for one, appreciate the amount of time that I'm spending with my boys and with my family, because I spend so much time in the car going to work, at work. I actually work multiple jobs and I coach as well. So being able to do those things and not be completely obligated to something else for 14 hours out of the day. And I want to make sure I sleep 8 hours. So that leaves me how much time? That leaves me 2 hours. 2 hours to spend time with my wife, spend time with my boys. And that means that's dinner, that's bath, and that's bed.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. And I want to make sure we all get that time in this evening. We're nearing, I do want to hit on at least one or two more things. Let me say a great big shout out to all of the folks that are watching via Facebook Live, that are sharing. I've got some more family that's on there, some cousins. They're sharing some information in the chat that as our panelists sharing, they're also sharing some gems, and this can be an opportunity to network for other parents to use this. I want to say a big shout out. I happen to scroll on, and some of our folks that are on the webinar portion, another former classmate of mine from middle school who is a teacher, I believe a 4th grade teacher at Randall Highlands Elementary School, Miss Tanisha Ely is on sharing information. Tanisha, thank you. It's been a long time, but thank you for being on with us tonight and helping to share this important and vital information. Hoping we're getting an opportunity to answer. If your questions weren't answered here, for our panelists that are able and to have another few minutes, we're going to be jumping on IG Live for a little after show follow-up to show some love over there. If you didn't get a chance to get your question answered here, we're trying to make sure we do that in a timely manner. We definitely will try to hit on a couple of those over there for our panelists that will be joining us. want to hit two more questions before we close out. One of the biggest disappointments has been the inability, in the midst of all this, of the class of 2020 to celebrate their accomplishments. A news story went viral about a North Carolina principal, Tabari Wallace of West Craven High School, who organized a surprise parade for all 220 of his graduating seniors. And so each of the students were able to receive personalized yard signs, and they broke up into groups of 14 routes, and they covered about 485 square miles to celebrate each one of those seniors. So just share a little bit. I mean, the amount of creativity that's on this panel alone is just mind-blowing. You know, I love each and every one of these panelists dearly, number one, for their energy that they're always putting into educating, putting into motivating their staff, putting into caring for the families. But what have you all done, share a little bit with our audience to ensure the accomplishments of students who are transitioning either out of your elementary school to middle school, or out of your middle school to high school, or out, you know, are being celebrated. You know, I know Dr. Blake is working more so across the school system area, but, you know, what are some creative things that you've done to help them celebrate these milestones? And then as you're sharing some of the things that you've done, how can we, the community at large, support these efforts that are already, you already have in place to make this year be special for more than just COVID-19?
I want to go ahead and jump in. This is a great question. First, I want to shout out my amazing 8th grade team. If you guys are on this call, on the webinar, my instructional leadership team and everyone at Friendship Woodbridge, shout out to you guys, because you are going above and beyond for those 8th grade babies, class of 2020, to make sure that this year will not be a year that is forgotten. So some of the things that we're doing at Woodbridge, we are making a dedication garden to our 8th graders. We are blessed to have 3 gardens at our campus: a bioretention garden, a learning space, and an edible garden. And so we're going to take marigolds and plant them for our scholars. And it has a symbolic meaning that I can share later. Another thing that we're doing is leading up into their virtual graduation. Yes, their virtual graduation. We are posting announcements for them on Instagram. So if you guys are interested, please follow us at FPCS_Woodbridge so you can see that. And something that we can have the community do is leave words of affirmation for our scholars, okay? Feed their spirits, give them encouragement, because this is difficult. And a lot of them are grieving this process or the lack thereof. So that could definitely help them out. We're having a virtual promotion. All of our scholars have hooked up with a production manager. It's really cute and really amazing. And they are giving a farewell speech and saying what high school they're going to. And we're putting it all together, and we're going to live stream it on Facebook on May 29th. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to have a party, not a prom. We usually go to the Spirit of Washington for an 8th grade prom, but this one will be in the spirit of your living room, okay? And so I'm really excited about that. And we have so many great more things in store, which does include a parade around our school, not around the city though. And it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to it. Our parents are looking forward to it. Our students are. And I know that the efforts that are being put into this have really picked up everyone's spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's exciting.
We're not allowed to have anything. We're not allowed to, I'm elementary, so we're not permitted to have any drive-through, any any calling the names of anything. So pretty much 5th graders down. We have provided them, we're getting them t-shirts, and if you need this, and when teachers pay teachers, I have a school access, so it's free. They have available virtual award ceremony, virtual, everything you want virtual is on there now that someone created. Virtual awards. So if you guys want access to that or you want some things, I will be happy to send them over to you for home celebrations or what have you. But it's sad for us because we can't do anything. But we have a video slide on Zoom for them and have them just talk amongst themselves and look forward to maybe doing something in the fall. But it won't be the same, you know?
Can I give one more shout out? I'm sorry. I want to shout out Trayon White and the great people of Ward 8, because something that they're doing is they're collecting pictures of all seniors in Ward 8, and they're going to put it on a football field that's going to last the whole summer and into next year, so that you can ride by this football field and see those scholars who are graduating this year, so that their year will not be forgotten. Lattimore, thank you for all the things that you're continuing to do for your scholars, despite, your restrictions. I know that they will appreciate it.
I like that idea. I'm taking that. I guess I need the marigold idea. I need that poem, and I like the picture. So this is a win-win, my sister. Share the wealth.
Share it.
Love it.
That's it.
Great,
Others.
This has been great. It's one thing to always talk with people you work with, but it's two to meet and see what others are doing outside of your own bubble, right? So this has been great, just to meet you all,
Awesome. Here's my final question for the night. It's kind of a three-parter. Take a moment, breathe it all in. This has been amazing. So last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. Amen?
Yes.
Amen. Teacher Appreciation. So on behalf of every student, on behalf of every parent, on behalf of every community, we want to say thank you to you. Thank you to your staffs. Thank you for the extra time, energy, resources you have poured in, especially in the midst of something that none of us were planning on having up in our year. And so we appreciate you. So the final kind of question I want to pose to all of you is this. It's a three-parter. You can give us a 1 or 2 word answer on it, and then we'll kind of wrap it up from there. What has been the bright spot for you as you tried to navigate the terrain during Corona? So what's been your bright spot? Where have you garnered the most support and strength over the past few months? And then what are you most looking forward to when we finally get a hold on COVID-19? So I'm gonna throw them back again, and then we'll hit it. We'll go in alphabetical order. We'll start with Dr. Blake. We'll go to Ms. Lattimore, Mr. Richardson, Ms. Stevens, and then we'll close out with Ms. Thompson. So again, here they are. What has been your bright spot in the midst of COVID-19, trying to navigate that? Where have you garnered the most strength and support? And then what are you most looking forward to once we get a handle on this? Dr. Blake.
Yeah, I would say definitely the bright spot is really exposing the world that educators matter. Our profession, prior to COVID-19, did not receive the same level of respect as doctors and lawyers and entertainers and things of that nature. So just for the fact that the world notices that educators and education, it matters, and that it takes special people to really do this work each and every day. So the fact that last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, the fact that they were able to still get acknowledged during this time meant the world, watching school leaders and school communities celebrating and acknowledging their teachers during this moment. The place where I gathered the most strength from is from 2 places. First, my Lord and Savior, as well as my family as well. And just being connected to both Jesus and my family on a more personal level during this experience right now has been truly tremendous for me. And what I am most looking forward to is the intentional focus that educators are going to have around building relationships and making strong communal connections with students and with each other when we finally return to a space of normalcy, but it's going to look a little bit different. And I just want to expand on that just little. It is my hope that, yes, we do get back to a sense of normalcy, but it elevated a bit, right? We should not continue the traditional way of doing schooling. Virtual experiences is the way that we have to do. But how are we going to form those intentional connections and relationships with our students? So I'm looking forward to supporting educators with those strategies as we think about the reentry process and supporting students and families when we return.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Blake. Thank you, Dr. Blake. Ms. Lattimore.
Okay, my bright spot is my teachers' resilience and their creativity. Like I shared before, you know, holding multiple groups in a Zoom conference and just talking with students, that's my bright spot. I've definitely been spending time more in my devotion from 8 to 9 and the books that I've had reading, but I also picked up running. So I am a runner now. I have ran 4 miles yesterday. I'll be back I run every day, except for days I have wine. But I run. So that has been like my new thing. It's so freeing. I feel like, woo, I'm out there. It's great. I'm looking forward to when it's all over is we're going to change learning. It's going to be more of not a structured sense. You might come in and start your work on Zoom. She might have 5 kids over here. You might want to have lunch at 11:30. He might want to have lunch at 12. I'm going to make it a seamless flow as if they were home. I'm trying to, in my mind, create this space where it's a flow of bodies, either A day, B week, whatever. My kids and keep excelling with them.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Lattimore. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Mr. Richardson.
My bright spot has definitely been the staff of Randall Highlands Elementary School. When I tell you I love these folks so much, and I'm talking about from the principal on down to everyone else in the building, just popping into classrooms, seeing how creative they're being, watching them transform their living rooms into classrooms, their basements into classrooms, their kitchens into classrooms. I'm talking about they're asking, hey, can we come to the school? We need to grab this, we need to grab that, we need to make sure we have this. So my bright spot has definitely been the staff of Randall, who I hold so near and dear. They definitely make this job a little easier. The biggest supports definitely come from my family. My wife being a frontline worker, she's a practicing pediatrician in Bowie. So she's traveling every day, seeing doctors, seeing patients via telemedicine. And then she's coming home every day and she has like this entire routine of entering the home. And it's difficult for me because I'm used to, hey babe, how you doing? Giving a hug, whatever, to I have to wait until she follows her whole routine before I can even get that. You know what I'm saying? It makes it difficult. And then my boys who they're just committed to their own education. I don't have to stress them too much. They're like, Dad, look, I'm done. Leave me alone. And all I can do is say, all right, cool. So that's definitely has been definitely been my strength and my support. And then this being my first year in administration, my principal, Christy Edwards, she definitely has been a great support for me. I hassle her on all 8 of her cell phones, all 6 of her emails, and all 4 of her bird carrier email that she has in her backyard. But I definitely appreciate that. And the one thing I'm looking forward to, not just seeing my kids, but watching how my teachers take what they're doing on Zoom and take their creativity back into the classroom. I think I'm very excited about that because I'm seeing teachers use things and I'm like, hey, where'd you get that from? They were like, man, listen, I had to pull my pot out the cabinet and put 6 beans in it. And they're just doing their thing. So I'm definitely I'm looking forward to the return, whether it's virtual or actually in the building.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mrs. Stevens.
All right. Okay, so my bright spot. My bright spot is definitely being a part of a team that is committed to the work. All right, so that's definitely a bright spot. Another one being just the slowdown. I am so thankful for the slowdown. Oh my gosh, Richardson, you hit the nail on the head when you said we only have 2 hours to be family. And you know, I definitely had to swallow a bit. Like raising my own kids. I mean, let's be honest, let's be real. Like not having the daycare raise them, like me raising my own kids, and the slowdown has definitely been a bright spot. And I thank God that I'm blessed with the resources to balance myself, right? I thank God for that. So that's a bright spot for me, going outside, walking, connecting with God, and making sure that I'm the best version of myself that I could be for the people who I support. All right, then where do I get support? Definitely, like I said, prayer, God, God answering my prayers. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for answering my prayers and showing me that I already had within me what I needed to be great. Okay, so I appreciate that. Other support comes from my family. Shout out to my mother-in-law, okay, who comes over occasionally to support with my 11-month-old baby. All right, it's hard out here, and she definitely comes over to make sure Rain gets those the practice with the walk-in, and her goo goo gagas is turning into actual things, because it's hard to balance all of those things. My husband, who understands that the job can sometimes go beyond 2:45. Even right now, you know, he's holding it down with bath time by himself. So, you know, send some love Reggie's way.
Yeah, Reggie.
Dad's rock.
Dad's rock, right? And then what am I looking forward to? In my career, like as going back to work, if you will, I'm looking forward to my teachers carrying over all these great practices that they're implementing right now. I remember in my coaching sessions beforehand, I was trying to push a couple of them like, hey, there's this new thing called Nearpod. Won't you check it out? But and they're like, oh, Ms. Stevens, I don't want to do that. That's a lot. And now Corona happened, and it's like, oh yeah, I did 5 Nearpod lessons. Like, yes, boo, yes. So I'm excited for all of those wonderful practices that they're picking up now to continue throughout, and not even just with my staff, also within me, like the things that I'm doing with my family. I want to continue that when we get back to whatever normalcy will look like.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Stevens. Mrs. Thompson. Hold on, wait a minute. I think you muted. 1 second.
Okay.
Get it.
So I just want to, first of all, thank you for this opportunity, Pastor. And I'm just grateful to be amongst this great body of knowledge. You know, I've learned so much. I've gleaned so much just from this time together. But I just have a few things that I'm going to, you know, let myself be seated. What we do at our school is we celebrate everybody, including the little rodents and stuff that don't pay the rent, you know, be in the building. But so our 5th graders were matriculating. So we love Dr. Seuss at Mosier. So we had a plaque for the place to celebrate them. It's called Oh, the Places You'll Go. I don't know if you can see this here, but what I did was we took a picture of all of our babies early on in the year. And you know how you get to the middle school selection choice process, this, that, and the third. So when they got their responses, we made a big deal of it, because in this day and time that we live in, we don't know if this will be the only letter of response that they will get. You know, tomorrow's never promised in our city. So we highlighted them, and we put the name of their school, and we put where they were going and their name, and that's been up there since they received their letters in the fall. So we always want to celebrate our babies, and that's one spot in the building that's a highlight for me every day that I walk through there, just to know that our babies are going somewhere. So knowing that I've given my life to this walk of education, is just an honor for me. You know, I thank God for being the head of my life and the center of my life. He keeps me grounded and keeps me humble and rooted in the work that he has chose for me to do. I'm grateful for my family, my husband, my girls, Tiffany and London, my surrounding family and community and friends. You know, I get fed from the greatest bishop in the land, Oscar Eugene Brown. What else can I do but turn out and do a great work, you know, after working under such a great man who's working like Nehemiah and will not come down from his work. So what I want to leave with the group is I just look forward to what we have learned from Corona. What has Corona taught us as a body of educators? What has Corona put in our spirits to plant in our children when we get back to toil the land again? What is Corona going to do to make this thing change for everyone? Because you know that it's not just about our faces now. It's all over. Corona didn't just come and say, here, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to do that. Corona came and did what it did. But what are we going to do after we clean up and after we come from under the math of Corona? So I just wanted you to know that the storms are going to come and they're going to form. But parents, as you set out there to do what you do for your children, continue to do that. And that's be a parent for them. Be there every step of the way for them. Guide them, teach them, show them that this is not going to shut it down. This is just the beginning to the next chapter of your life, of our lives. We've been through the Great Depression. We've been through World War. We've been through slavery. We've been through all of it and have prospered and come above it. So I just want you to know that no matter what we go through, that it's very tempting.
you want to pull under the overpass.
But guess
and wait
what
for the
tomorrow's
storm
gonna
to
be?
pass, because you don't want to get stuck in the middle of the storm. And so even right now in life, it is so easy to just want to pull over in the middle of this storm that we're in, and you want to pull over and stop dreaming and stop believing and stop thinking that things can get better. But I want you to know that God did not build you to pull over, that you are storm-proof because he's in the storm with you. So keep driving to that destination, and I'll see you there. Let's go.
So I just leave you with that, and just keep that smile, keep that joy in your heart, and that zeal, and that zest. And before we know it, we're going to be back in all of our buildings, and we're going to make the difference that we have been charged to do as what we do each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Thank you to all of my panel on this evening, Dr. William Blake, Ms. Lena Lattimore, Mr. Alan Richardson, Mrs. Erica Stevens, and Mrs. Gerald Thompson. Thank you for the wealth of knowledge that you poured into tonight. Thank you for all that you do every day, 24/7, to make our children be the very best that they can be, and to provide support for your staff and the families and community which you are serving. May God richly bless each and every one of you. Family, thank you so much for joining us this week on Straight Talk, No Chaser with Dr. JJG. It has been an amazing time. I hope it has blessed you. I hope that you have gotten something from this. If you are still hungry for just a little bit more, and I mean just a little bit more, it's been a long day for my team of panelists here in their individual. They got to get back to family and stuff. But for just a few minutes more, we're going to go and show Instagram some love. Some of them will be joining us over on IG. You can follow me on IG at Cool Waters 714. That's cool, KOOL Waters, WATERS 714 on Instagram. I'm going to be jumping on as soon as this disconnects. We'll be over there for a few minutes, just fielding just a few questions so that we can go ahead on and close out tonight, which was so powerful in a way that we make sure that everybody was able to hear a little bit of what they needed. Thank you. We'll be back next week, next Thursday, 7 p.m. You want to make sure that you are here next week on Thursday, 7 p.m. Straight Talk, No Trace with Dr. JJG. We are going to be talking to our frontline personnel. We're going to have some doctors here. We're going to have some nurses here. We're going to have some folks that are working in hospitals, doctors' offices, that are doing the medical billing, and let you know really what is going on for them personally, what is happening in our hospitals, our doctors' offices, and why it is so important that even though it may seem, y'all hear me, that things are slowing down, it is so important for us to stay home. It is so important for us to stay safe until we have fully weathered this storm. And as Ms. Thompson said, we are going to come out of this. However, we got to make sure that we are doing the right things so that we are not getting folks infected or reinfected and causing this to be even more of a hardship on folks who are out there trying to care for our loved ones and to try to get a handle on this thing. So join us next week when we're talking to healthcare professionals here on Straight Talk, No Chaser with Dr. JJG. Remember, family, God bless you and may heaven smile upon you. Peace and blessings. Go on and jump on IG Live. We'll see you over there in just a few minutes. Peace and blessings, everybody.